Hi there, welcome back to John Thoumire Garden Designs and a series on indoor cuttings. Today we're going to be doing aloe vera, everyone's favourite. We're going to be taking them from this beast, which is just a lovely example. I actually managed to rescue this from a place, so we're going to keep that a little bit out of view, just a bit, so until we get to that. But a little bit of history first. So I did a short course on ethnobotany last year actually, and it was fascinating. But one of the best things I took from it was this story. We were taught about aloe vera, and that natively it comes from the Arabian Peninsula. Now it can be found growing naturally in most of the subtropical areas of the world. And anyone who's been there, it's pretty tough stuff. It's nigh on unkillable. But natively, in the Arabian Peninsula, there was an Egyptian pharaoh who saw the plant, loved it, and took it back to Egypt. And this is when, about 6,000 years ago, the first kind of documents started to arrive concerning the medical benefits of aloe vera. In Egypt, they actually called it the plant of immortality because of its many, many, many uses. And is there music in the background? I certainly hope not. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Is there still music in the background? I've got the phone plugged in at the moment. There shouldn't be music in the background. So, Arabian Peninsula, and anyway, the Egyptians took this, and what was really quite fascinating is the aloe veras that we basically get in all the shops, everything, they all come from this one species of aloe vera that the Egyptians took from the Arabian Peninsula on this one expedition. There's actually walls and tombs that display the whole thing. You really should go have a look at it. It's fascinating. But all the aloe veras we know come from this one specific set of plants that this one pharaoh took. And I just find it fascinating that it can come from there. So as I say, this is from the Arabian Peninsula, available all over the subtropical world now. And I grew up with this. My mum, anytime we had a cut, anytime we had stuff, hi everyone, thanks, no music, good, love it. And anytime I would get a cut, my mum would take some of it, and the gel inside, she would smear over it. Obviously it's got a cooling effect, but it did seem to work. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a biologist, I don't really know why all of these things are, but it really does work, and I would always suggest having one of these in your house, just for these reasons as well. So what we're going to be taking from here is an Aloe variegata. Now, as you can see, it is a lovely plant. And there's another name as well that I'm just reading from the back here, is Aloe variegata. Now, I don't know if that's a separate species or what. The powers that be that name plants, they do have a tendency to chop and change them out. Famously, you've got the rhododendron azalea argument and the stipa argument. Stipa tenuissima turned to stipa nacella and things like that. So this could be something like that. I'm referring to this as Aloe variegata, okay? It's got these lovely long spears, which are actually quite sharp on top. They've got some serration on the edges, and they just have these great raised bumps that give it this variegated zebra look. I am a big fan of this, and I've been taking quite a lot of cuttings from it, so I'm going to actually keep one side of it out of camera so you can't see the massacre. So, the thing with this is there is a little bit of prep involved when you're taking aloe vera cuttings. Once they take, it's great. They're very difficult to kill. Once they get to this size, they're very difficult to do anything to because they thrive in low nutrient soils with little water, okay? And anybody who's been away to these parts of the world will have noticed them. When I worked in South America and the Caribbean, I was shown a particular way to take cuttings from these. And this is how I've always done it. And it works for me. I would go with this because, as I say, I've gotten success with this. But I will show you there is another way of getting plants, and I will show it using this one. But first, we're doing this. So, leaf cuttings. So, as I've always said, and my word, so I ironed this shirt just before I came on, thinking it's going to look absolutely fine. It really doesn't, so apologies for that. Nope, didn't do anything. Great. Cuttings. So, same as all the other stuff, we've got our 2 sets of knives here. Right, we're just going to be using the one, I think, today. It's been put under boiled water, okay, so that's completely cleaned it, and I sharpened this yesterday, okay, just a couple of swipes on the actual edge of the blade, right, you don't do it on the other side, that'll create ridges, you don't want that. So we're going to be using this one. I took these cuttings on Wednesday, so usually I would do these cuttings videos on a Saturday. I didn't feel they were quite right. You really want these cuttings, if you can see, you want it to dry out at the end. Okay, that's very important, because in the early stages, aloe vera are very, very susceptible to bugs and viruses, bacteria that will make them rot. And that's how you will knacker your cuttings. So, a few days before you plan on doing this, absolutely just take the time, take a couple of cuttings, about 3 inches long, give or take a few centimeters. I know I'm mixing metric and material there, but work with me. And you can see here, here's another one. Okay, so it dried at the end. Hi Switzerland, thank you for joining us. And then there's obviously this one. Now this is actually starting to turn a little yellow, so I don't know, it's still pretty firm. Okay, you can see that, but I don't know if this will take actually. You will see these things yourself. If it was much worse than this, I would actually get rid of it. But I think I'm still going to use it. So that's the 3, but let's take the cuttings exactly. So same thing with a lot of these cuttings. Try and take it from a part of the plant that's not going to impact the aesthetic of it. This is just for you, okay? The plant is going to be fine, so long as you do it correctly. But I would say you want to try and impact it not too much. So aloes grow from the center, okay? And as the leaves mature, they push it out. So go from the bottom, don't go from the top, okay? Because these will slowly be pushed out and out and out, and that will preserve the aesthetic over time. So I think we're going to go with, this is going to look quite barbaric from my end, I get that, but trust me, it's okay. So we're taking the hook pointed knife. There's an actual name for it, I can't remember what it is now. Nerves, all that stuff. So we're just going to go in and try and do a downward stroke, okay? You see how there's a slight angle to them. This is probably a better example. There's an angle to that. You want to expose as much of the leaf or the point of contact with the soil for the leaf as much as possible. So we're going to take this one, and I'm sorry, it's quite a big plant. I can't give you a great view of it, but I'll do what I can without trying to chop off my own finger. So if you can do one cut, great. There you go. One cut at an angle, and you can see it's a lovely fresh leaf. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this here and leave that for another 3-4 days. As I say, I keep banging on about this, but this is really important when it comes to aloe. You want this skin, okay? That's going to stop the base of it rotting before it can start thinking about rooting. Okay, so I'm going to try and remember that this is the one that doesn't go in. Okay, so you could also, I think today as well, I'm actually going to use rooting powder. And the reason I'm doing that is we're getting later on into the season. My own preferred time to take cuttings is much earlier, usually when plants start to grow or get into their growth season. I always have far more success with that. So today we're going to actually use a little bit of this rooting powder, this rooting hormone, just to give it a little bit of a helping hand. Okay. We don't need much. Okay, perfect. Try and get all this stuff out of the way. Okay, so eagle-eyed viewers out there might actually remember this pot from our last cutting video. I haven't actually, I never put anything in this in the end. The chlorophytum plantlets, they're basically all around me in other pots. But what I did was I got rid of the soil, I cleaned the pot properly down, and then I've got new cuttings compost in here. Again, low nutrient, perlite, coir, and some perlite as well. You could just do the coir and perlite though, and it would work fine. Drainage is the thing here. So, we're going to do this. Okay, so I'm putting in the rooting powder. Okay, you can see it's just on there. Okay, and the soil is quite moist, okay? So there's the first one. Making sure I get the right one. So again, maybe a little bit overzealous with the rooting powder on that one, forgive me. Okay, next one in. Maybe try and get them in a little bit deeper. Alright, that's the other one. Now, I'm going to put this one, which is the one I'm not concerned about, not really, but I'm going to put that a little bit further away. You'll be able to tell quickly if it's not going to take or not. When you start to see it definitely turning brown, maybe getting a little bit sludgy, that's the time. Take it out. It's done. Okay. Preserve the other ones. Do the cuttings need light? Well, that's actually a very good question. Now, usually when you're dealing with cuttings, particularly the other ones I've got around me and in the back, you want to put them like where they don't get direct sunlight. These are different. You want these to have as much light as possible. So a west or south facing window even, where they're getting a good level of sunlight, because you want the cuttings to dry, okay? You want the soil to dry out completely before you give it more water. So that's another very important step. Thank you for that question. So just to repeat that, these cuttings, aloe vera cuttings, they want light, okay? You're not going to put them in a protected little corner. You're not going to put them in an east-facing window. You're going to put them ideally in a south-facing window, or like the place where you feel you get the best sunshine. Don't let the soil dry out and then water. You just don't want them. Do they prefer to be around the edge of the pot? It's really a matter of space. I wouldn't overpack the pot, okay? But these are slow cuttings. They're not like pothos or spider plants. They don't very, very quickly like root up. These will take some time. What you'll see is little plantlets start to come up from the base, and it's about then that you want to think about repotting into their individual places. But it's not going to go woof and woof and woof. Right? It's going to be a very slow and steady process. At some point, my prep cuttings aren't quite ready yet to do it, but we're going to be doing Sansevieria, and that's another extremely slow growing plant, and packing them in isn't such an issue. You'll see them, my Sansevieria are kind of bang, 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 bang in a line. So this is what's going to happen. This is actually quite moist. I'm not going to mist them because I don't want any problems with the leaf itself. So hopefully, fingers crossed, a good few months from now, probably a little bit longer as we get into the down period for the plants. So that's what we've got there. I'm going to actually probably move these into this level of sunlight when I'm done. So that's that. After a while, okay, they'll turn into these. Now these I took from the same plant. Oof. It was a good few months ago now. And they're now, the majority of them are doing very, very well. I've taken off the main leaf, okay? The leaf started to turn brown, gunky. The rooting had taken place, they were fine. So that's what you're actually looking for, okay? And this is now, in my opinion, I still think this one is going to survive. You're going to get 4 brand new variegated aloe veras here. Now, there's one other way you can do this. Once these plants have matured, let's put this back to where it was. I'll put this down. 3 days, okay? 3 days, look for the callousing on the end. Okay, where is it? Right, so there's another way you can do this, and I think it's depending on the plant. I don't really know why they name them the way they do, but aloe veras and bromeliads, things like that, they produce something called, it's a rather sentimental name, I don't really like it, pups. And aloe veras produce pups. So if we can possibly, it's right at the edge here, can anyone see the small bit of green at the edge of the pot? That is an aloe vera pup. It's not big enough to actually take out yet, so I don't want to do that because it won't be good for the plant. That is basically an offshoot, and it is a very, very, very simple way to get another aloe vera plant. And when that is maybe about 2 inches, 3 inches high, that's when you can take that. What you will do is you will go as close to the plant, the mother plant as possible. Lift it out. This will have to be done outside because it gets very messy. You'll see the root structure is attached to this, and then you just very simply strip it away at the join, and that's it. Pack the plant back in the soil, make it happy, it'll be fine. The pup you will then treat like any successful cutting, okay? You would just put it in a good mix and let it be. And after that point, risk of infection is far less, and it'll just grow and grow and grow, and you'll get another lovely plant like this. So that's about us, I think, for aloe vera cuttings. And thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great. It's been short, but it's been great. And I hope you can all join me next week for... I'll figure out what we're doing next week. At the moment, it's looking like pothos because I've got quite a lot of those going. And again, they're super easy to propagate. And so that's great. Again, thank you so much for joining me. If you have any other questions, please get in contact with me over the comments or direct message. And my website is now up and running, as is my Facebook business page. So if you are needing for any indoor planting designs, outdoor garden designs, I'm your man. So again, thank you so much.